I have read a recent news on the text-based generation of video contents on beta test by OpenAI. I would assume it should require a tremendous computational power and memory to perform text-prompted video generation. Could you roughly estimate how much computational resources will be required to generate a short video contents such as 1-minute shorts?
Generating text-based video content, especially for longer videos like 1-minute shorts, can indeed require significant computational resources, particularly during the training phase. However, inference, where the model generates the video based on a given text prompt, tends to be less computationally intensive than training. During the training phase, which typically occurs before the model is deployed for inference, substantial computational resources are needed. Training a state-of-the-art deep learning model for text-based video generation could take several days to weeks, depending on factors like the model size, the complexity of the task, the size of the training dataset, and the available hardware. This process would likely require access to high-performance computing resources such as GPUs or TPUs. Once the model is trained, generating short video content during the inference phase is less computationally intensive. However, it still requires sufficient computational resources, especially for real-time or near-real-time generation. The exact computational requirements for inference would depend on factors like the model's architecture, the complexity of the generated content, and the desired output resolution and frame rate. Given these considerations, generating short video content like 1-minute shorts could still require significant computational resources, even during the inference phase. However, advancements in model efficiency, hardware acceleration, and optimization techniques may help reduce the computational burden over time. For a more precise estimation, one would need to consider the specific characteristics of the model being used, such as its size, architecture, and efficiency, as well as the hardware infrastructure available for running inference.
Could you list up the possible challenges in daily video generation for an average person to have an access to the text-generated video infrastructure in terms of technological resources, as well as global energy consumption and the economic capacity of the developed world?
Certainly, here are some potential challenges in making text-generated video infrastructure accessible to the average person, considering technological resources, global energy consumption, and the economic capacity of the developed world. Computational resources. One of the primary challenges is the computational resources required for training and inference of deep learning models for text-based video generation. These models can be large and computationally intensive, requiring access to high-performance computing infrastructure, which may not be readily available to the average person. Training deep learning models, especially large ones, consumes significant amounts of energy. Scaling up the availability of text-generated video infrastructure could lead to increased energy consumption, which raises concerns about sustainability and environmental impact, particularly if the energy used comes from non-renewable sources. Building and maintaining the necessary infrastructure to support widespread access to text-generated video technology can be expensive. This includes not only the computational hardware but also the networking infrastructure required for data transfer and storage. Ensuring equitable access to text-generated video technology is a challenge, particularly in regions with limited technological infrastructure or economic resources. There is a risk that the technology could exacerbate existing inequalities if it is not made accessible to everyone. Generating video content based on text prompts raises concerns about data privacy and security, especially if personal or sensitive information is involved. Protecting user data and ensuring secure transmission and storage of generated content are critical considerations. There may be regulatory challenges related to the use of text-generated video technology, including issues related to copyright, intellectual property rights, and content moderation. Ethical considerations, such as the potential for misuse or manipulation of generated content, also need to be addressed. For the average person to effectively use text-generated video technology, there may be a need for education and training to understand how to use the technology responsibly and effectively. Addressing these challenges will require collaboration between technology developers, policymakers, industry stakeholders, and civil society to ensure that text-generated video technology can be harnessed responsibly and equitably for the benefit of society.
I would like to compare the case of text-to-video technology to the case of electric vehicles replacing internal combustion engine cars. Obviously, there was an incentive to use electric cars given that the entire world shared some degree of consensus and justification for such a radical transition in a short time period. On the contrary, the transition from conventional video content creation business does not enjoy such social or ethical incentives compared to electric cars, except for the economic efficiency. Could you suggest me some points that illustrate how the prompting video technology could face more challenges than the case of electric car transition that align with these reasonings?
Certainly, here are some points illustrating how the transition to text-generated video content could face more challenges compared to the transition to electric vehicles. Environmental consensus. The transition to electric vehicles was largely motivated by environmental concerns, such as reducing greenhouse gas emissions and mitigating climate change. This shared environmental consensus provided a strong motivation and justification for the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. In contrast, while there may be economic efficiency gains associated with text-generated video content, there isn't necessarily a comparable degree of consensus or urgency around transitioning away from conventional video content creation methods. Infrastructure requirements. The transition to electric vehicles required the development of charging infrastructure to support widespread adoption. While this was a significant undertaking, it was largely facilitated by the existing transportation infrastructure, e.g., roads, parking lots, and the ability to leverage existing electrical grids. In contrast, transitioning to text-generated video content may require entirely new infrastructure for content creation, distribution, and consumption, which could pose greater logistical and financial challenges. Consumer behavior and preferences. The adoption of electric vehicles was also driven by changes in consumer behavior and preferences, including a growing interest in sustainability and technological innovation. In contrast, consumer preferences for video content are diverse and may not necessarily prioritize the use of text-generated video content over conventional methods. Convincing consumers to adopt text-generated video content may therefore require more significant changes in behavior and attitudes. Regulatory frameworks. The transition to electric vehicles was supported by regulatory incentives and mandates aimed at reducing emissions and promoting clean energy technologies. In contrast, there may be fewer regulatory frameworks incentivizing or mandating the adoption of text-generated video content. Without regulatory support, the transition may proceed more slowly and face greater resistance from entrenched interests in the conventional video content creation industry. Technological maturity. Electric vehicle technology had already reached a certain level of maturity and reliability before widespread adoption began. In contrast, text-generated video content technology is still relatively new and may require further development and refinement before it can compete with conventional methods in terms of quality, reliability, and usability. Cultural and creative considerations. The transition to text-generated video content may also face cultural and creative challenges, particularly in industries where traditional video production methods are deeply ingrained. Convincing filmmakers, content creators, and consumers to embrace new methods of content creation and consumption may require overcoming cultural and creative barriers that are not present in the transition to electric vehicles. Overall, while there may be economic efficiency gains associated with text-generated video content, the transition faces significant challenges related to infrastructure, consumer behavior, regulation, technological maturity, and cultural considerations that may make it more challenging compared to the transition to electric vehicles.
When a new technology emerges, most people or media usually focus on emphasizing how the new tech can revolutionize the world. But when it comes to how this manifests in real life, there are always challenges and hurdles that make it nearly impossible to make it available for the entire world. For example, the advent of electric car thrilled everyone, but it has taken a lot longer than it promised to become a daily transportation measure for everyone, mainly because it requires too much battery material to be excavated, as well as the social cost for charging and power delivery. What would you expect to be the main challenges for the text-generated video technology to be integrated into our daily lives, and what would be the first challenges that need to be resolved? I would guess the memory industry and other semiconductor foundries, and the power plants as well as the network system, but there could be a lot more.
Indeed, the transition to text-generated video technology faces several challenges that need to be addressed to become a part of daily life. Here are some of the main challenges and the first hurdles that need to be resolved. Computational resources. As mentioned earlier, text-generated video technology requires significant computational resources, especially during the training phase. Addressing the challenge of computational resources involves developing more efficient algorithms, optimizing hardware architectures, and leveraging distributed computing infrastructure to reduce the time and energy required for training and inference. Memory and semiconductor industry. The memory and semiconductor industry plays a crucial role in providing the hardware infrastructure necessary for text-generated video technology. Challenges in this area include scaling up production to meet demand, improving the performance and efficiency of memory and processing units, and reducing the environmental impact of semiconductor manufacturing processes. Power consumption and sustainability. The increased demand for computational resources in text-generated video technology could lead to higher energy consumption, posing challenges for sustainability and environmental impact. Addressing this challenge involves developing energy-efficient algorithms and hardware, investing in renewable energy sources for powering data centers and computing infrastructure, and implementing energy-efficient data center designs and cooling technologies. Network infrastructure. The transition to text-generated video technology requires robust network infrastructure to support the transmission and distribution of video content. Challenges in this area include expanding broadband access to underserved areas, improving network reliability and bandwidth capacity, and ensuring secure and efficient data transmission. Data privacy and security. Generating video content based on text prompts raises concerns about data privacy and security. Challenges in this area include implementing robust data protection measures, ensuring secure transmission and storage of generated content, and addressing ethical considerations related to the potential misuse or manipulation of generated content. Regulatory and ethical considerations. The adoption of text-generated video technology may also face regulatory and ethical challenges related to copyright, intellectual property rights, content moderation, and potential biases in generated content. Addressing these challenges involves developing clear regulatory frameworks, implementing transparent and accountable content moderation policies, and promoting ethical use of the technology. Addressing these challenges will require collaboration and cooperation among technology developers, policymakers, industry stakeholders, and civil society to ensure that text-generated video technology can be harnessed responsibly and equitably for the benefit of society.
Can you compare these challenges to the situation with electric cars, where they were spotlighted and incentivized with all the hails in the media, but the difficulties were not given enough attention, leading to predictions and expectations that didn't match the actual technological or commercial progress in real life?
Certainly. The parallels between the challenges faced by electric cars and those likely to be encountered by text-generated video technology highlight the importance of critically assessing new technologies and their potential impacts. Here's how the challenges in both cases can be related. Overemphasis on potential benefits. Just like electric cars were heralded as a solution to environmental and energy dependency issues, text-generated video technology may be similarly hyped as a revolutionary advancement in content creation and communication. The media and journalism may focus excessively on the perceived benefits of the technology without fully considering the challenges and limitations. Underestimation of implementation challenges. In the case of electric cars, there was often an underestimation of the challenges associated with infrastructure development, battery technology, and consumer adoption. Similarly, with text-generated video technology, there may be a tendency to overlook the significant computational, energy, and infrastructure requirements needed to make the technology widely accessible and practical for everyday use. Lack of attention to environmental and social impacts. While electric cars were promoted as environmentally friendly alternatives to traditional vehicles, their production and usage still have environmental and social impacts, such as resource extraction for battery materials and electricity generation. Similarly, text-generated video technology may have unintended consequences, such as increased energy consumption, data privacy concerns, and potential job displacement in traditional video production industries, that need to be carefully considered and addressed. Regulatory and policy challenges. the transition to electric cars has been hindered by regulatory hurdles, such as limited charging infrastructure and inconsistent government incentives. Similarly, text-generated video technology may face regulatory challenges related to data privacy, content moderation, and intellectual property rights that could slow down its adoption and implementation. Technological maturity and consumer acceptance. Electric cars initially faced skepticism from consumers due to concerns about range, charging infrastructure, and performance compared to traditional vehicles. Similarly, text-generated video technology may encounter resistance or skepticism from content creators and consumers who are accustomed to traditional video production methods and may be hesitant to embrace new technologies. Overall, the case of electric cars serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of critically evaluating new technologies, considering their potential challenges and impacts, and adopting a balanced approach to innovation and implementation. Similarly, as text-generated video technology continues to develop and evolve, it will be essential to address the challenges and limitations to ensure that its potential benefits can be realized in a responsible and equitable manner.
Can you think of a historical example where a new technology was hyped up by the media but didn't actually live up to the expectations in terms of its real-world adoption? I can recall nanotechnology in the early 2000s, which generated a lot of excitement but hasn't really become widespread. I also remember ubiquitous computing being talked about, but it hasn't become a mainstream yet.
Certainly, there are several historical analogies of technologies that were hyped by the media and anticipated to revolutionize daily life but did not fully meet expectations. Virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR. In the 1990s and early 2000s, there was significant hype surrounding VR and AR technologies, with predictions that they would transform entertainment, education, and various industries. While there have been advancements and niche applications, such as gaming and training simulations, widespread adoption of VR and AR in everyday life has been slower than initially anticipated. 3D printing. 3D printing technology emerged with much fanfare in the early 2010s, with promises of personalized manufacturing, rapid prototyping, and decentralized production. However, while 3D printing has found applications in certain industries like aerospace and healthcare, it has not yet become as ubiquitous in households and mainstream manufacturing as some had predicted. Nanotechnology. As you mentioned, nanotechnology was heavily hyped in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, with promises of revolutionary breakthroughs in materials science, medicine, and electronics. While there have been significant advancements in nanotechnology research, widespread commercial applications have been slower to materialize. Biometrics. Biometric technologies, such as fingerprint scanners and facial recognition systems, were heralded as the future of security and authentication. However, concerns about privacy, accuracy, and security have tempered the widespread adoption of biometric technologies in everyday life. Ubiquitous computing, also known as pervasive computing or the Internet of Things, IoT, envisioned a world where computing technology would seamlessly integrate into everyday objects and environments. While there have been advancements in IoT devices and smart home technologies, the vision of a fully interconnected and intelligent environment has yet to be realized on a large scale. In each of these cases, the media and public discourse often focused on the transformative potential of the technology while overlooking the practical challenges, limitations, and societal implications. While these technologies have made significant advancements and found niche applications, they have not yet become as pervasive or transformative as initially anticipated. These historical examples serve as reminders of the importance of critically evaluating new technologies and managing expectations about their potential impact on daily life.
The general reaction to the announcement of text-generated video technology today is usually an expression of shock and fear, with concerns that this innovation will lead to the displacement of many jobs. But how quickly and to what extent this technology will actually replace jobs remains to be seen, especially considering the examples of previous technologies that, despite initial concerns, did not significantly impact industries as anticipated. There were fears that 3D printing would completely replace traditional manufacturing, yet it has remained a niche technology.
It's important to approach the potential impact of text-generated video technology on jobs with a nuanced perspective. While there may be concerns about job displacement, the actual pace and extent of job replacement will likely depend on several factors. Technological maturity. The maturity and scalability of text-generated video technology will influence its adoption and impact on jobs. If the technology remains relatively niche or if it takes time to mature and become widely accessible, the rate of job displacement may be slower. Complementary roles. Text-generated video technology may not necessarily replace human workers outright but rather augment their capabilities or create new opportunities. For example, content creators could use the technology to automate certain tasks, freeing up time for more creative or strategic work. Skills and training. The adoption of new technologies often requires workers to acquire new skills or adapt existing ones. The pace of job displacement may be influenced by the availability of training programs and support for reskilling and upskilling workers to adapt to changing job requirements. Regulatory and ethical considerations. Regulatory frameworks and ethical considerations may shape the deployment and use of text-generated video technology in ways that mitigate job displacement or ensure that workers are fairly compensated for their contributions. Market dynamics. The adoption of text-generated video technology will also be influenced by market dynamics, consumer preferences, and competitive pressures within industries. If there is significant demand for human creativity, authenticity, or emotional intelligence in video content, the technology may complement rather than replace human labor. Overall, while there may be concerns about job displacement, the actual impact of text-generated video technology on employment will likely depend on a complex interplay of technological, economic, social, and regulatory factors. It's essential to approach these discussions with a balanced perspective and consider the potential opportunities as well as challenges associated with the adoption of new technologies.
Nevertheless, I can envision that major production companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount may be among the first to adopt text-to-video technology or similar AI technology due to the potential cost savings compared to the conventional production process. Do you agree?
Yes. It's quite plausible that major content production companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, and others may be early adopters of text-to-video technology or similar AI-driven technologies. These companies often have significant resources and are constantly seeking ways to optimize their production processes and reduce costs while maintaining or improving the quality of their content. Text-to-video technology could offer several advantages for these companies. Cost reduction. As you mentioned, one of the most significant benefits could be the potential cost reduction compared to traditional production processes. Text-to-video technology could automate certain aspects of content creation, such as generating visual effects or animating scenes, leading to savings on production expenses. Efficiency and speed. Automation provided by text-to-video technology could streamline production workflows and accelerate the content creation process. This increased efficiency could enable these companies to produce content more quickly and potentially release more content within shorter time frames. Scalability. Text-to-video technology could offer scalability advantages, allowing these companies to produce a larger volume of content without necessarily increasing their production budgets proportionally. This could be particularly beneficial for content platforms with high demand for new and diverse content offerings. Innovation and differentiation. Adopting text-to-video technology could enable content companies to explore new creative possibilities and experiment with innovative storytelling formats. This could help them differentiate their content offerings in a competitive market and attract audiences looking for fresh and engaging experiences. While there may be initial challenges and adjustments in integrating text-to-video technology into existing production pipelines, major content production companies are likely to explore and invest in these technologies to stay competitive and capitalize on potential cost savings and efficiency gains. As early adopters, they could also play a significant role in driving further advancements and improvements in text-to-video technology, ultimately shaping its broader adoption across the industry.
We are witnessing a significant number of layoffs in Google and Microsoft, primarily in the technology division. This is because replacing high-level intellectual work with AI is more cost-effective to reduce the overall production cost than replacing physical or manual labor. Following this logic, if there was a substantial reduction in jobs in the content production industry, would it be reasonable to assume that highly paid top positions would be more vulnerable than lower-end jobs?
Your observation about layoffs in the technology sector is correct, and similar dynamics could potentially apply to the content production industry if there were significant job reductions. However, it's essential to consider several factors that could influence how job cuts are implemented in this industry. Skill sets and specializations. In the technology sector, layoffs often target specific roles or departments that are deemed redundant or less critical to the company's strategic goals. Similarly, in the content production industry, layoffs could target positions where automation or AI-driven technologies have made certain tasks obsolete or more efficiently handled. This could include roles in post-production, visual effects, or animation, where text-to-video technology may replace manual labor. Contractual arrangements. Many content production companies rely on a combination of full-time employees and freelance contractors or temporary workers to manage fluctuations in production demand. Layoffs may be more prevalent among contract workers or those on short-term contracts, as they offer greater flexibility to scale the workforce based on project needs. Unionization and labor rights. In some countries or regions, content production workers may be unionized or have strong labor protections that influence how layoffs are conducted. Union agreements or collective bargaining agreements may specify procedures for layoffs, including criteria based on seniority, job classification, or other factors. Talent retention and strategic planning. Content production companies value talent retention and may prioritize retaining high-performing employees with specialized skills or creative expertise, even during periods of downsizing. Layoffs may be strategically targeted to minimize the loss of critical talent and maintain the company's competitive advantage. Legal and regulatory considerations. Layoffs in the content production industry may be subject to legal and regulatory requirements, including notification periods, severance pay obligations, and compliance with anti-discrimination laws. Companies must navigate these legal considerations while implementing workforce reductions. While it's possible that layoffs in the content production industry could disproportionately affect higher-paid positions, the specific factors and considerations outlined above would influence how layoffs are implemented and which positions are targeted. Ultimately, companies will seek to balance cost-cutting measures with the need to maintain operational efficiency, retain key talent, and uphold legal and ethical standards in workforce management.